Good now,
Blog
happy
Talk
this
Radio.
moment. Good now, happy this moment. You are listening to Divine Explorations with Jody Doty, and I'm airing on the Positive Transformation Network. Today I am thrilled to have on the show Dave Daley, otherwise known as Monster Motivator. And Dave has quite a story to tell. He's, describe him as high octane, straight talking, get you up and moving kind of a guy. Doesn't hold back. He's, and Dave, we had a few technical difficulties. I want to make sure, Dave, are you on the line?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. I can hear you now. So, yay,
Okay.
welcome to the show. For the viewers, before I let Dave introduce himself and tell us who he is and what he does and how he gets you moving, gets life moving, I want to share the call-in number, which is 646-716-9645. This is a call-in show, so Dave's ready, willing, and able to take your questions as we go along. But first, welcome, Dave, and tell us a little bit about who you are and what life spurs you on to do these days. What your goals and mission here on the planet is.
Oh, well, first I want to thank you, Jody, for even inviting me on. I'm excited to be here. And, I guess I'll start from the beginning. It seems to be the best way, and it lets things unfold. But, I've been an entrepreneur pretty much my whole adult life and have been fortunate enough over the last 20 years to have built and sold 3 companies in 3 different industries. But that being said, Jody, it definitely did not start out smelling like roses, as they say. It was a struggle from day one. I was left back in the 2nd grade, diagnosed with ADD. They told me I had a learning disorder, and I never even graduated high school. And by 19, I found myself sitting in a jail cell looking at 8 to 10 years if things didn't go my way. So
wow.
to say that it started out a little foggy is an understatement. And what I share with people is, and what I've learned over the last 17 years of being introduced to personal development and some of the greatest mentors in the world, is our conditioning. The stories that we tell ourselves create our reality, but we always have the opportunity to turn it around. If you're not getting the results, you're not living the reality you want to live. But understanding where it all resonates from, where it all starts from, is really as a young kid. And I'm talking to parents out there. If you have little kids, you create their story whether you realize it or not. Their subconscious mind is open like a sponge. So what you tell them, they believe. So the greatest gift that a parent can give their kid, or a grandparent can give their kid, or anybody can give their kid, is a high level of self-image, self-esteem, self-assurance. Because when you can do that, now you're equipping, that kid is equipped, or going to be equipped, with the right self-talk, the right conditioning, the right stories to now take on the world when they become adults.
Right, absolutely. That was one of the questions I was going to ask. What do you tell parents, for when they have kids that do have struggles like that, ADD, and a lot of kids have learning challenges, and how do you deal with that?
Well, it goes back to, and I'm sure things have. Well, I shouldn't even say that. I don't even know if things have changed, but in the school systems. No, really. In the school systems, it's a tragedy that personal development isn't taught from day one. That's the real world. That's what drives everything. And also having these kids understand that there's so many different levels of intelligence. Just because you're not getting a good grade in a certain category, in a certain criteria, does not mean that you're not intelligent. In fact, if you look back in history, it probably means you're pretty close to a genius, right? Because you don't work in that cookie cutter mode. And
absolutely.
And I'm a huge believer that EQ needs to start coming to the surface, because EQ is what is going to get you through life much more successful than IQ ever could. And I'm a big proponent on EQ. And so many of these kids, including myself, have a high EQ, and their IQ might be struggling, might be lagging behind. But when it's addressed properly, when it's packaged properly, when it's conditioned properly, it creates a pretty close to an unstoppable human being.
Absolutely. That's fabulous. So, then from your childhood, then some of the businesses. What types of businesses did you start? What did you do after high school? After you dropped out, how did you turn it around? What was the shift that changed your life?
Well, it's I call it the. You remember the Oprah effect? When Oprah was in her prime, she just created such a buzz and such a transformation for people. I call it the Tommy effect, and I share that in my keynote. And what happened was when I dropped out of high school, I was that kid that couldn't. It was so hard for me to learn and focus and concentrate in class. But you put me outside playing sports, doing things that were physical, interacting. That was my world. So when I got out of high school, or when I dropped out, my dad said, you know what? If that's the decision you made, you better figure out what you're going to do. How are you going to pay your bills? What are you going to do to make a living? I thought, man, that's a great question. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
So I did what I knew, my conditioning, right? I got right into construction, and I did everything. Framing, roofing, brickwork, blockwork, ironworkers union, laborers union, roofers union in Philly. If it was physical, I did it. I was kind of like that elephant in the circus, when they tie that baby elephant to the stake, take a rope around its back leg and they put a stake in the ground. Every time that baby elephant tries to pull and walk away, that stake stops it. And when that baby elephant becomes a grown adult and they put that same rope around its back leg and it feels that tension, it stops pulling because its conditioning reminds it that's all it could do. But in reality, that grown adult elephant can rip that stake out of the ground anytime it wants. And I was that elephant. So fast forward the clock a little bit. I'm about 20, 21 years old. I'm renting a room for my buddy's mom, and I'm looking for work. And Jody, it was like 2007, 2008 time when we were in a major depression, major recession. Banks weren't lending. Money wasn't moving. This was the early 90s. And things were just not moving. So job sites were being shut down. I'm looking for work. Long story short, I answer an ad in the paper, and it's an outside sales job selling copiers and fax machines. Now I have no idea what that means, anything, right? But but underneath the big bold letters it says no experience necessary, will train. I thought, that's my resume. I have no experience. I need somebody to train me in something, right? So long story short, I make the call, I get the interview, and the owner, Tommy, just sees something in me and understand that I had no business being there, right? I had no experience in outside sales, no experience in his industry, and I'm just a laborer at that time. But he saw something in me, and lo and behold, Tommy set a seed and created a belief. And one of the reasons that is who he was, but also because I could see myself in him. See, Tommy came from the neighborhood, and he wasn't supposed to make it. And now he has a thriving business with people that were supposed to make it in life and are now working for him. So I'm able to see that as a young kid, and he took me under his wing, and then I went from there, and from there I went to different sales jobs, and I always landed in 100% sales commission jobs, no salary, no car allowance, nothing like that. But that seemed to work best for me because I wasn't micromanaged. I'm driven, and just let me do my thing. So right. I started doing after Tommy and a few other outside sales jobs. I became an outside sales rep for my buddy's dad's company. It's a public adjusting firm. in New Jersey. And public adjusters, if you're not familiar, they're licensed and bonded in the state to represent the homeowner against the insurance company in property claims. So I did that for a good amount of years and straight commission. So if I didn't bring it in, I didn't eat. So after a while, and that worked for me, after a while, I actually started my own firm. And in 5 years, we built it up, and I actually was able to sell it and flip it. And then I started a fire restoration business in 2000 out in Philly, New Jersey area. Built that up for 7 years and had a partner, and I sold my half. Came out to San Diego, had no idea what I was going to do, knew nobody, but I made a deal with myself, Jody. I said, if whatever business I get in, because I made this big leap, it has to be passion-related first, profit second. You know, it was always the other way around. And so I found this struggling sports nutrition store in North County, San Diego, and understand, this was 2008. Nothing was going on money-wise, and I knew nobody. So, but I saw some things that they weren't doing that I thought that if I implemented could really make a difference, and I had such a passion for it because I've been an athlete my whole life. Now understand, and this is an important point for people out there that are hitting those fear barriers and they're listening to the outside noise. Everybody in my inner circle wanted to put me in a straitjacket. They thought I lost my mind. They're like, you're going out to San Diego, you know nobody, and you've never been in a retail business? I said, yeah, but I see something. So you have to listen to that inner GPS. You have to listen to that inner voice, that gut feeling, because it's just like a muscle, Jody. The more you use it, the stronger it gets and the more reliable it is. The less you use it, the weaker it gets and the less reliable it is. And lucky enough, when I say lucky, sweat, blood, and tears for 4 years, but the first year and a half, we were actually able to triple the numbers. And we grew, and then I flipped it back in 2012. And so, you know, I just want to make that point.
Even
There's
during
so much
that
outside
time. During that time, because I know I was laid off during that time, so I know absolutely what the climate was, honestly, job-wise. But that's amazing. So, kind of looking outside of the box at what you could, how you could make a difference, what you could add. Sounds like that was kind of helpful.
Well, I think that the main thing is listening to your intuition, listening to your gut, because there's something in you that nobody else can see if you're willing to see it. And I focused on what and quantum physics tells us this, right? You know this, that thoughts are things. What you think about comes about. So it's not pink clouds, the unicorn, and the Easter bunny. This is real. Quantum physics tells us this. Now, here's the thing. You're either going to focus on why you can't do it, or you're going to focus on why you can. And it's that simple. It's just not always easy. See, life is very simple, not always easy. And I'm going to say this too, Jody, and I'm a firm believer in this. If somebody's trying to make it more complicated than it is, when we're talking about life and personal development, they either don't know what they're talking about, or they're trying to sell you something, or both. Either one of the three will not work.
Right. It really is much more simple. Well, love itself, it's much more simple than we make it. We're the ones that create the challenges or make it something else instead of just the pure essence that it is. It's very simple.
It is. It's just an understanding, right, that, okay, it's not always easy, especially if you're willing to grow, expand, and move forward. You're going to have fear barriers all the time. That's why I speak on leadership and fear barriers, because it relates to every single person, no matter what. We all have fear barriers, but the difference is, do you have the tools and you have the wherewithal to step up, meet those fear barriers head on, crush right through them, or are you going to let it bully you back into safety? And I consider fear barriers a bully. And the only way to stop a bully is to step up, and that's it. Yeah.
It's true. And, you know, I know everybody experiences fear. I had that too. I've only been doing my own business now, I think it was in February, and I had to work through some fear, and I've been doing this type of work for 20 years, but still the fear of this is something new, this is something different, and yet I kept hearing, like you say, that inner voice, in my meditations, this is the time. You need to break out. And then things started happening. I lost my name badge from work 3 times within a couple weeks. Hell, something's telling me, it's time to change. But breaking through that fear, talk about the fear. How do you get past that? For me, it was breaking it down more, because I found it was so much less big than I made it in my mind. And if I could just take one step and have one success at a time, that was very helpful to kind of break it apart and really look at it instead of just seeing it as a big piece. But there are smaller pieces, and once I started chipping away at the smaller fears, then it just kind of fell away, and I had so much passion and enthusiasm that there was no other choice.
Yeah, I mean, and I always suggest that what you did is you just change your perspective, and those little chunks started to help you change and reinforce that perspective, and that's really what it boils down to, is understanding that first and foremost, in order to change the perspective long term, you have to make friends with the fact that the reason that the fear barriers are there is because life is saying, how bad do you want it? Are you willing to become that person to obtain this, keep it, and keep moving forward? That's why there are fear barriers in life, because it's a boot camp. Life is giving you a boot camp. Are you going to make it or you're not? And it's not the goal. It's not the money. It's not the things that you're after. It's that person you need to become. And the only way to see if you are going to be that person is to identify and crush through the fear barriers as they come, because you have to change that perspective in order to win. Right.
Absolutely.
And that's that. And I have such a passion for it, as you can hear it in my voice. I have an application right now with TEDx at Temecula, and it's a formula that I put together. And when I say I didn't create anything. I just created a formula that works in the steps that has worked for me over the years and worked for my mentors over the years. So understand that and I say this all the time, Jody, if anybody in the personal development world tells you that they created something brand new, run, don't look back. This all goes back to antiquity. This goes back to the beginning of time. Right. So when it's a 4-step formula. Now I identify the fear barriers as bully, like we talked about, and I call this the bully buster. Yeah, because but it's true. Yeah. Because think about this. What is a bully? Right. A physical bully is somebody that's so scared inside that they want to make you feel like they're invincible. They give you the peacock, but when you look behind, it's kind of like the movie set, right? What a beautiful house on the front. You open the door, there's nothing back there. Watch the first step, it's a big one, right? You're gonna fall. So it's an illusion. That's what a bully is. That's what a fear barrier is, right? It's different than danger. Danger's real. Fear is an illusion. So I found that works for me and has worked for numerous people, very successful people, is a formula these steps just work for me. So step number 1 in this bully buster is identifying your goal. Does it scare you and excite you at the same time? It has to have what I call the dynamic duo. If it doesn't, it's not big enough. It doesn't have enough juice. It's not going to keep your attention. That's how, because we're put here for one reason, Jody, to grow, evolve, and move forward. Whatever time we have for this ride, that's what we're built for. So now, once you can identify that goal, now you need to identify what is your why. If your why is big enough, it's going to pull you through those fear barriers. And if your why becomes bigger than you become unstoppable. See, Tommy was the first successful adult that told me that he believed in me, and he showed me that he believed in me. I'd walk through fire for Tommy. There's no way I'd let Tommy down. Tommy became my why. My why became bigger than me, right, through all those fears. Third is, what's the action that you're taking, right? Is it getting you closer or farther away? And here's the cool thing about action. It's magical. See, when you take that action on a consistent basis, the people and the circumstances start to come into your life that make it happen. But if you stop, they stop appearing. And 4th step is the game changer. It's the most underutilized, misunderstood step in our world, in our personal life and our professional life, no question. and it's our inner coach. It's our self-talk. What are we telling ourselves on a daily basis? Because that's going to create our reality. Is it strong? Is it uplifting? Or is it damaging? Is it weakening? And I can promise you that unless someone really understands self-talk and how to apply it on a consistent basis, if you look and you're going to be honest with yourself, if you audit your day, a big percentage is going to be depleting, weakening. I can't do this. I'm not smart enough. I'm not big enough. I'm not fat. I'm too fat. I'm too skinny. I'm this. I'm too that. Right? But there's a way to turn that around. And one of the books that changed my life, and I say this, and I know a lot of people say this, and it's overused, but it really did for the last 12 years. And this is a book I recommend to everyone, is Dr. Shad Helmstetter, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. One of my mentors recommended it to me about 12 years ago, and it's changed my life. And I implement some of his formulas every single day.
Wow.
So, and then now, Jody, what that does, after those 4 steps, that leaves you with your reality, your results. See, and results don't lie. And if you're not happy, which really is, you know what they are? That's your self-image. See, all those steps create or break down your self-image, and I'm a firm believer that you can build your self-image up, you can tear it down, but you cannot outperform it. So now, once you get to that reality, once you get to those results, if you're not happy, go back to the top, reevaluate.
Start over.
So that's the bully buster. Yeah, and you know what?
Every day is a do-over, I say. Every day is a new beginning. So, you know, if it isn't working, it's time to look at it again, to come at it from a different. But we have a caller on the line. Are you up for taking a call?
Yeah, let's roll. Let's do this.
Okay, let me see. There we go. You're on the line, live on Divine Explorations. Do you have a question or comment for Dave Daley, Monster Motivator?
Yeah, it's actually Alana. So I wanted to say thank you for being inspiration to young public speakers like me who are just trying to, continue on in this world and learn about it, because it's really hard. And a lot of the stuff that I've seen you do has inspired me to push on and do more.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for sharing. And one of the things that I always tell people when they say, well, I'm young and I'm just learning, is you really have, how old are you?
I'm 18, just 18.
Okay,
18.
So you're 18. You might be young to a lot of people, but you've lived 18 years, so you also acquired a lot of wisdom yourself. So I'm a big believer that knowledge, it is important, but it's really unorganized information. Wisdom was really what you want to learn from and acquire, because that's real life, real world stuff. And theory just gets in the way for me. I want real world, real life steps for real world, real life results. So just remember that obviously we all have a lot to learn, but you still have a lot to pull from that keeps moving you forward, that you can actually share with others. So don't ever forget that just because of your age.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks for calling.
You're very welcome.
Bye, Alana.
Bye.
Bye.
That's our kind of a mutual friend of ours, Alana, who definitely knows about beating the fear bully, because she just wrote a book about her experiences, and she's lived with fear all her life, and it's just a pleasure to watch her grow and share her wisdom of her 18 years with the public.
Yeah. It's just she's true monster mode. She's a real monster mode. She's 18 years old, but lived a life, of a 60-year-old person, 70-year-old person. So she has so much wisdom that she can share, and that's why I mention that, because I do have her book, and I highly recommend anybody to get it, especially parents, because at the end of the day, again, it's real world stuff here, and that's what I'm all about. And I believe that if you're not going to share the real world stuff, then there's no value, and you got to bring the real world value. And whether people like to hear it or not, or they feel like they're offended, you can't worry about that. I always say, Jody, As long as your intention is pure, you're bulletproof. The people that are going to resonate with your message and your flavor will. The ones that won't. You just got to keep rolling on as long as the intention is pure.
Right. And you attract, it's also energy. From my mind, in working with energy as I do, so many times people lower their vibration, lower their power to match the other person, and then they feel terrible about themselves. And I always tell them, imagine your power as a dimmer switch. Look in your mind, anything 5 and below, crank it up to 10, and raise your power vibration and let others match you. Those that are in alignment, well, they'll find you. They'll resonate with you. They'll match you. And those are the folks that your tribe, those are the folks that you're attracting. Or that also gives them, other people, permission to raise theirs. So we keep expanding and moving higher rather than moving from a lower vibration. We really own our power and kind of do or live a more expanded power base of our own, in our own life. So anyway, switching gears. I know you have a lot of causes that you're very passionate about, and I just was wondering if you could share a few of those passions that you have. Besides beating fear, which is a huge one, but I know also in the real life there are things that happen, and the underdogs and those people that need our support. And so, can you share a little bit about your causes or what you have a heart for?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. First and foremost, I love animals, and I never want to see them hurt or abused, and anything I can do to get the word out to support, and also to take it a step further, I'm a big dog guy. I've been a dog guy my whole life. I've done a lot of different trainings with dogs, and then also I'm a huge pit bull advocate, and when I tie that in with bullies. See, there's over 400 cities in our country that they're not allowed to live in because of their appearance and because of what somebody labeled them. And to me, that's bullying. And they're being bullied. So I, like I say, we're the bully buster. We don't tolerate bullies, and anything that we can do to support someone or something that is being bullied, we will. And that's been my message. And my other passion, my other heartfelt passion is also the military, because I'm so grateful that I live in the country that I live in, that we have what we have, and at the end of the day, it's as simple as this. It's the home of the free because of the brave, and that's the bottom line. And these men and women, they put everything on the line. And my dad was 82nd Airborne in World War II. He just turned 91. And I believe that generation is why we're actually here. Toughest generation that we know in recent history, for sure. And I also, I also work with an organization here in Southern California called Warfighter Made, and they are a nonprofit organization, and they fabricate custom vehicles for wounded vets, and they're founded by Robert Blanton, who's a friend of mine, and he was force recon in the Marines for 22 years. So I always say he hates when I say this, but he's as close to Rambo as I'm going to meet.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's got to be a pretty tough dude.
Well, you know what? It is just, and it's just these guys are amazing. I mean, they're building a vehicle right now for a triple amputee, and it's just amazing. And I want to do everything I can to support those two causes. Really dive deep for me. And also the other one is I do donate to Make-A-Wish and St. Jude, because now when you're talking about kids that are sick, kids that are struggling to make it for tomorrow,
Right.
I want to do everything I can to support them. So the animals, the kids in the military, that's why, Jody, I have no patience or zero time, and I'm allergic to excuses. I don't want to hear it. Go talk to somebody else, honestly. Because when you see people, when you see this little girl that's 12 years old fighting for her life for cancer, and she's the rock of the family, and then somebody's going to complain because they have to park too far to get to the mall that they're going to walk anyway. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. I'll tell you, it's amazing. It's amazing. So that's why the military. Listen, are there things that need to be changed? Things that could be better? Always. But there's not another place I'd rather live than this country, and that's the bottom line. And I'm so grateful for where I am and the opportunity I have.
Right, absolutely, and it does. You're right. They make it possible. They make it possible. They hold our ideals, and I'm a military brat myself. My dad is in the Air Force pilot for years, so took me a while as a kid. That was a very tough thing. It's not an easy lifestyle, especially for families. But so proud of what he did for our country, and I think I didn't fully appreciate his sacrifice until I was an adult. It's tough for a kid to have your parent gone. You don't see from that perspective that wow, my dad's a hero. He's doing great things for the world. You just realize as a kid, my dad's not here, and that's
sure.
I really would love to have more support, more social support, more programs for families, to support the families. I know there are some, but it's another one of those challenges as a kid, that we have. And, everybody thinks back in their childhood, it was an easier time. It's not. I don't think it's easy being a kid. I think, again, that's maybe a self-talk thing, but I think we need to do everything we can to support them, to change the picture, as you say, to, encourage the self-talk. And, I have a real heart for children myself, for kids, especially for kids of the military, Yeah,
because you lived it, and it really means something to you. And I always tell people when they're having issues with their past, one of the ways that really helps, if you're willing to look at it this way, and again, we're talking about change of perspective.
Right.
Your story isn't about you. Your story is about other people, the people that you can help that might be going through that same thing or something similar, or someone that can just connect with you and your story. You'd be surprised how many people would come up to me after my keynote, after I give them, left back in the second grade diagnosed with ADD and all that, right? That come up to me, and you would never even think in a million years that these people, where they're at in life, that would do that. They come up to me and they go, oh, my God, that was me. Oh, my God, that's my story. Or my kid's going through that right now. Oh, my God, and your story is not about you. When you can wrap your brain around that, it takes all the pressure off, and it creates a reason that past was what it was. And that's, I think it's all comes down to perspective. It's all perspective. And when you become an adult, this is your ride. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to complain and whine and moan about your past, or are you going to embrace it and help somebody else? It's up to you. Right.
Absolutely. Take that understanding, take that compassion, take that awareness, and raise it and share it.
And the wisdom. And the wisdom. Yeah, the girl that was just on has so much. She has wisdom coming out of her ears that she can now help other kids, help other people, help adults that wouldn't address those issues. She has so much wisdom, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And again, her story's not about her. Now her story is, and she understands that, now her story is, how can I pay this forward? I went through this for a reason, right? Am I going to curl up in a fetal position and ride the rest of my life out like that? Or am I going to take charge, grab the bull by the horns, and say, you know what? You weren't bad enough to beat me. Guess what? I'm here. So that's what she's about, and she's got moxie, and I have nothing but respect for someone with moxie.
Absolutely.
So,
And there's always a bigger picture.
I get a little passionate, Jody.
I love it. And as we all should find that passion. What it is, what drives us, what moves us. You know.
Oh my God, that is such an understatement. It's such, Jody, it's so real. It's so, what you just said is so real, but people are so afraid. Whether it's afraid of what other people think, whether it's afraid of failure, whether it's afraid of what if, whether it's afraid of change, you're still afraid. And here's the thing. Life doesn't care whether you're ready, whether you agree. It keeps moving forward. That train's leaving you at the train stop, or you're getting on that train, right? And at the end of the day, right, it's even if you are fortunate enough to live a full life at 90 years old, healthy, I promise you, it is going to go so quick that you can't believe it. So it's your ride. What are you going to do? You know, Gary Vaynerchuk said the greatest thing ever. I just shared this video again. He's in a cab in New York, in Manhattan, and he's got the window down. He's at a light, and this girl comes running up to the window and goes, Gary, I need some inspiration. Give me some inspiration. He goes, I got 3 words for you. She goes, what? He goes, you're going to die. And this girl looked at him like, what? But you know what, though, Jody? That's it. That's true. You're going to die. What are you going to do with this ride? It's so real. And that's, and I think too is, I just think that there needs to be more realness, especially with the internet that we have and the social media platforms. I think it doesn't matter whether I agree with you, I don't. Whether you agree with me, I don't. But I think it just needs to be authenticity, realness, and telling it like it is lost. And I think it's making its way back because of the social media, because we create our own social media platform. But I believe that the political correctness creates a weak society.
You want to get to that authentic voice, that authentic who you are. This is who I am. This is what I share. This is what I bring, and break down that fear of. So many times in my readings that comes up, especially with communication. There are barriers, there are blocks. I'm afraid of, if I say this, how will it be taken? I'm afraid of, do I want to present this way for one person and this way for another? So you spend your whole time kind of up in your brain. Actually, what happens is you go outside your body. You're not even in your body when you're talking. You miss the whole conversation with the person that you're talking to because you're up in your mind instead of really engaging, connecting, being fully involved with that person and being honest, honestly saying whatever happens, this is who I am and this is what I have to share, and accepting that from the other person. Really, to just sit and look in another person's eyes and have a conversation, that's so hard for us. And now it's even getting worse with all the electronics and that, because we don't look at each other. We're clicking on buttons and whatnot. So I don't know. Engagement, honesty, authenticity. I have a caller on the line, so we'll go ahead, and if you're okay with that, we're ready to take a call. So here we go.
We're ready.
Hi there. You are on Divine Explorations with Jody Doty and Dave Daley, Monster Motivator. Do you have a question or comment for Dave?
Actually, I'm just listening in because Dave is amazing, and currently
you're on the line. You could ask him anything. Do you have something that you would like to, or somehow that he has changed your life or influenced you?
What's your name? What's your name and where are you from?
This is Michelle, a.k.a. LJ Whittier.
Oh, that a girl. How are you?
I'm good, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for jumping on. I know we connected on social media a lot, so it's great to hear your voice. Put a voice to the name anyway.
Exactly.
I am following you because there are a lot of changes in my life that I'm going through as well, and any part of your circle, trust, it will be a part of mine. Hence, I love that you introduced me to Kelly as well. My question to you, though, Mr. Dave, is I was reading one of a comment from somebody that posts on your page, and what I read is the initial glance people get when they first see you. And it digs deeply into what Jody was saying right now is we're so involved in technology that we fail to get to know each other. And when I was reading something on your page, somebody said they had thought you were like this beefed-up macho guy until they read the bottom of your page where it says we have a book club. And I just had to laugh to myself because that's kind of the reason why we intertwined with each other is because I was so interested in reading what you had to say. And now, because of your inspiration and through help with Kelly, I'm writing my own first book. And so it really goes to say when you have a certain people in the circle of your life, you don't stay the same. And if you do, you're around the wrong people.
Yeah, you know what? Here's what I say. And since you brought up my appearance, it always is a subject. It always comes up. It has pretty much my whole life. And see, here's what I tell people is, well, first of all, I'll be speaking tomorrow in San Diego with over 22 speakers, right? Motivation,
really,
and self-help people. And trust me when I tell you, I am going to stick out like a sore thumb, right? My appearance is not going to be anything. But here's what people have to understand: you got to figure out who you are. That comes down to what I teach and what I have such a passion for, and it starts at a young age. This is the parent's responsibility. Build that self-image. Embrace who you are and run with it. How many motivational speakers get up on stage and look like me? You know how many times I heard, well, we thought you were just security. Where's the speaker? I go, you're looking at him. You know? And here's my other thing that's very, very important to understand, LJ, and everyone out there. And I say this all the time, because you know that there's no smoke and mirrors with me. What you see is what you get, and I tell everyone, right? If I'm everybody's cup of tea, I'm switching to coffee.
Right.
You know, you either stand. I mean, I think it makes you stand out to be who you are. That's who you are. It's not a cookie cutter. I look like everyone. I fit in with everyone. This is who I am, and that's what we should all do. This is who I am.
And Jody, you know what the key thing that Dave has taught me within the past few weeks that I've actually been introduced to him is the biggest thing that I think everybody deals with, and he talks on it and touches on it in everything that he says. And my number one difficulty is my fear. It's not that I know I'm going to do good. It's not the fact that I don't think I can. It's the fact of, okay, when I get there, what else is next?
But that's the excitement. That's the exciting part. What's next?
But LJ, just go through those steps. See, those steps are going to pull you through every single time, whether it's personal fear, professional fear, the fear of getting into whatever that is. Just go through those steps. Identify that goal. Figure out what your why is. Is it big enough? What is the action you're taking consistently? And what is that self-talk you're telling yourself? Because that's going to give you results. And if you're not happy with those results, go back to the top. So there is try that formula. Let me know how it works. Give me some feedback. But you're with all of us. We all have fears. We all have fear barriers. And when you're growing, expanding, moving forward, they're going to come at you like waves because life is going to go, let me see what you got. Let me see what you got. Are you willing to become that person to obtain that? And then if you are, guess what? We got more for you. You know, and that's what this ride is all about. And that's so many people are stuck in that safety zone. And all of a sudden they're going to blink and it's going to be over.
Right. And, you know, I will be the first to admit I've really been analyzing where I'm at. I'm about to have surgery within the next couple of weeks, so I'm going to be bedbound, and I had to figure out what I was going to do productively with that time. And you did help me with that. Now my next mission is, okay, after I'm done doing with this time and I'm able again completely, where do I want to take it from there? Because having people that are by your side that want to see you grow rather than surrounding yourself with you're the top of your crowd, that's all you'll ever know, it doesn't leave much room for expanding your brain. And when it comes down to the point to when you are done being the top and you want to learn from other people, you surround yourself with people that are going to continue to grow.
Yeah, no question. When you become the biggest fish in the pond,
exactly. You need
take
to
the action in order.
Yeah, Dave, are you there,
Yeah,
Dave? You're cutting in and out a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You're absolutely right. I mean, when you become the biggest fish in the pond, you need to find another pond. You need to find another ocean, whatever that is. But in order to do that, you got to take the action. You got to break through those fear barriers, become that person to fit in, to even be introduced to that new pond or that new ocean. And then what happens is when you become that person, you could go back to that smaller pond, share and pay it forward, and whoever it clings to, great. Whoever it doesn't matter. See, it's not your job. And we were talked about vibration earlier with Jody, and you raise your vibration, and some are going to come up with you, some aren't. But understand that it's not your job. Your job is to keep moving up.
I've always thought I have this bigger purpose, like I'm supposed to be doing more, and it has so much to do with like opening up, like you said, into certain vibrations, into allowing yourself to accept what the universe has to offer you. And that's huge, because I was so stuck in the minimals and looking at the day-to-days like this is horrible. Now I'm stuck on, oh my gosh, my day-to-days, there's just so much to do, and it's not horrible anymore.
Well, one of the things I'm going to share with you, and I always tell everyone, listen, take what works and throw out the rest, right? With anybody that tells you anything, right? So, but here's what I'm going to share with you, because I could feel the energy. I could even feel your energy when we connected, and I connected you with Kelly. At the end of the day, your DNA is you're an action-oriented person. When you stop taking that action, that's when you let the fear barriers beat you. Listen, here's what you need to do. You need to jump off that cliff and build a plane on the way down. You can figure it out. You have that in your DNA. I hear that in your voice. You have that edge to take things on. But understand that action is always fear's kryptonite. Take the action. Let it unfold. Be willing to fall down. Get back up and learn from it, and let those people, let those circumstances come into your life to start to make it happen, like you did with the book. You put a question out there. I just happened to answer it. We connected, and what happened? I took the action. I put you two in the connection, and then you took it from there. And there's no mystery to this, right? There's no secret to this. There's no smoke and mirrors to this. Take action, steady, consistent action, and things will happen.
It's amazing how that works. I had a friend that like you, she moved to Bend. She drove through Bend, Oregon. Always loved the feel of Bend. Just every time she was there, she loved it. She'd been taking care of her mother. Her mother passed. She went, that's it. I'm selling my house. I'm moving to Bend. She moved to Bend, had no job, no place, walked in a shop, commented on some of the things in the shop. They said, you know what, you seem to be a great salesperson. We really love your energy. Would you like a job? And by the way, I have a friend who's a real estate person. They can help you find a house. So look, that intention of, I want to live in a place that I love, that resonates with me, and I'm just going to take that action. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to take that risk, and I'm going to make that move. And boom, once she did that, everything fell into place for her. She found work. She found it, and it's because she was open. She was open to having.
You guys?
Hello, are you there?
We might have lost her.
Are you still there? I show she's still on the line.
I think I lost you guys.
Oh, okay.
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us? Okay. Yep. Yep, she dropped out the line. So, but that was just one of the examples from someone I know, how they just took a risk. They just went for it, and well, in some ways, I don't think it was a risk. The place resonated with her. She followed her intuition. She listened to her inner voice, and she went for it, and couldn't be happier.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just because it's the way we're wired. It's why we're here, and that's why the fear barriers are so devastating if you don't have to crush through them, because it's going to stop you from moving, growing, and moving forward. So absolutely, 100% agreement. And I'm glad she called in. She's got a lot of things going on, and I could just hear it in her voice. She's ready to take on the world. She just needs to keep moving forward.
I think she may be back on the line. I think that was her. So I'm just going to...
Oh, true.
Hi. Are you... You were... I think you're back on the line. You were just on a moment ago?
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead, Dave. You had some comments that you were making to me, but... We'll go ahead and have you share those again.
Like I was saying, I could tell by her voice she just needs that little nudge, right? That little push to get her off that cliff. And at the end of the day, always keep something in mind, LJ. The darkness is only temporary as long as you keep moving forward. The only time that darkness becomes permanent is when you go back into safety.
Oh.
So, with that, we need to kind of wrap up here. Dave has just a few more moments, and I wanted to have, speaking of books, and I know you're talking about writing your book, Dave has a book coming out. Dave, you want to talk about the book a little bit?
Yeah, believe it or not, it's about fear barriers. It's called Knock Out Fear in the First Round, and we have 10 rounds, not chapters, they're rounds, and we're hoping to have this book launched by the beginning of September. So we'll I know that you gave me the okay to come back on your show and
absolutely,
share
we want to hear
everyone.
all about it. Mm-hmm.
So it's really just again the things that I've acquired over the years that has helped me break through and identify those fear barriers and real life stories and real life content for real world results, and that's what I pride myself on, because theory, you can keep it. Theory just gets in the way.
You want to get down on that cellular level, right where we are, who we are in this world right now. That's what it's about.
Yeah, no question about it. And you know what? My whole thing, Jody, is people say, "Why do you do what you do? What makes things go for you?" And at the end of the day, if I can just create a different perspective for somebody, whether they run with it or not, that's all I need to do. Just there might be a different way to look at whatever it is, and if I could do that, I'm a happy guy.
Makes a world of difference. And just being able to share, that also changes your vibration. That helps you to expand who you are, because we learn from each other, all the time.
It's always a win-win. It's always a win-win. Yeah, I mean, my vibration's through the roof right now. Yeah, I mean,
I can see it, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I can run through a brick wall right now because it gets me so pumped, it gets me so excited, and it gets my juices flowing because you know why? Because this works. This is real life stuff. This is not in theory sitting in a classroom. This is real world stuff coming from people that have lived it. That's what this is, and so anyway, I get a little bit excited.
So I want to make sure people know how to get a hold of you. For those that are just listening to the show, hadn't heard of you before hearing you on the show, how do they reach you?
Well, they can reach me any of the social medias at Dave Daley MM, like Monster Motivator, all the social media outlets. And real quick, I want to kind of plug this real quick, Jody, is I'm also have a live stream TV show, and we're going to be going on in a few minutes, actually, Monster Motivator TV. So we are a live stream TV show that comes to you in the Southern California area. We highlight local businesses, entrepreneurs, nonprofits that are making a difference in their community. We want to highlight them, share their story, and get it out there. And eventually we're going to roll this out nationwide. And the Monster Motivator TV is going to become the new Oprah Winfrey effect.
Yes.
So I am very excited.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you so much for being on the show and motivating everybody to the hilt. I love your energy. I love your passion. You make it real for us, and that's what it's about. So thanks very much, Dave, and have a great day on this journey called life.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jody, and you too, and have an awesome weekend.
Bye now.